Welcome to this episode of Our College Your Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. We're pleased to announce that our new Indianapolis Chancellor, Dr. Lorenzo Esters, has joined Ivy Tech. Dr. Esters most recently served as Vice President for Advancement and Member Engagement with the Association of American Colleges and Universities, a higher education association representing more than 1,200 2- and 4-year institutions located across the country. Prior to that role, he served as Executive Director for Higher Education Partnerships within the Global Education Division of Educational Testing Service. He led the Skills for a New Economy initiative, an effort focused on creating new solutions for workplace success by visualizing the skills, capabilities, and knowledge needed to thrive in a changing economy. His professional experiences have been uniquely centered on generating philanthropic and institutional capacity to support student access, completion, and career readiness efforts, particularly for those from marginalized backgrounds. President Elspermann said it best. We are excited to welcome Dr. Esters to Ivy Tech. His broad and rich experience, along with his recognized leadership in higher education, makes him ideal to serve our largest and most diverse campus. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Lorenzo Esters. Hi, Lorenzo.
Hi, Kara. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
So is there anything in your intro that I missed or anything else you'd like to just let folks know about as we get started here today with our conversation?
No, I think you covered it well.
Okay, good. Well, with that, you have a background in higher ed. I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about how you see your professional experience benefiting you in this new role.
Sure. Thank you so much, Kara. Let me just share. First of all, I have spent most of my career, I would say, at the intersection of college access and success and career readiness with a specific focus, as you already mentioned, on the success of low-income students, first-generation students, and students of color. I actually began my career in government. I started out of college as a claims representative with the Social Security Administration, of all places, for a recent college graduate, and worked my way up to deputy director of the office of the chief administrative law judge. If you know anything about the federal pay scale, Kara, you know that I started as a GS7 and then I went to a GS14, and I did it in about 5 years. So that's unprecedented.
That's
Some people
great.
go 30 years. Yes, most people go about 30 years and don't move that quickly. But I moved from the Mississippi Delta to Falls Church, Virginia. After getting to the DC area, I decided to teach at a local college, Montgomery College, which happens to be a 2-year college, a community college in Rockville, Maryland. I had already been teaching as an adjunct before moving from Mississippi at Jackson State University. So I became engaged in teaching at that time with Montgomery College as an adjunct and absolutely loved teaching. I love the students. I think you know what you're called to do when you get this energy from doing it, right? And you would do it if you're not getting paid for it. That's how I felt about teaching. And I still feel that way today. So it was because of this experience that I decided to pursue a doctorate in community college leadership at Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. So it was a cohort model, and all of my classmates were administrators within community colleges at the time. And our program actually met on the campus at a 2-year institution at Montgomery College. So we were very steeped in the work, if you will, and able to apply it to our everyday lives. So I actually left the Social Security Administration and took a job with the U.S. Department of Education as a program analyst in the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Elementary and Secondary Education. So I was focused there on No Child Left Behind, teacher quality programs, et cetera. And I was there, I stayed there until I completed my doctorate. And I wanted to go back to a campus. So I decided at the time to consider a program that the U.S. government was offering, which is called an interpersonnel agreement, which means primarily you can go to work for a nonprofit organization while still maintaining your salary with the federal government. But this program, unfortunately, Kara, was not being funded at the time. So I actually took a job at Dillard University as senior advisor to the president. Dillard, as you may know, is a private, small, historically Black college in New Orleans, Louisiana. That was very similar to my undergraduate college that I had attended, Rust College. It turns out that I left and became senior advisor to the president there, though there was nothing senior about me at the time, let me tell you. But it was a great experience. But I was only there for a year because it was understood coming in that I would do this on a short-term basis and then move to something else. So in exactly a year, I was nominated for a position with the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities. And that's where I really got exposed to a focus around supporting college access and success for students. I served as vice president for access. So working with about 220 or so colleges at the time, and we developed a national initiative that we called Minority Male STEM Initiative. And it focused on helping low-income and minority males, African American, Latino, Native American, and Southeast Asian males access and complete STEM disciplines across the country. And we secured over $1 million in funding to support that effort. So I got to work with that and the Commission on Access, Diversity, and Excellence, where we focused on other efforts like diversity in the professoriate or teachers of color. So while at APLU, I was recruited to become vice president for student success and enrollment management at Kentucky State Universities after being there for about 4 years at APLU. And it was so happens that I got to know the president of Kentucky State at the time because she was very involved in the commission that I referenced, the Commission on Access, Diversity, and Excellence. So I took this job and had the tremendous task of becoming the inaugural vice president for student success and enrollment management. So the two areas have been separate, student affairs and enrollment management. And that's where I really cut my teeth, if you will, in terms of supporting students from enrollment through graduation. So we had a very significant population of low-income students and students of color. And during my time there, we actually increased enrollment. We recruited the largest freshman class in 5 years, happened to be the largest quality class in 10 years. And we grew retention by 6 percentage points over the time that I was there. So I left Kentucky State and came to Indianapolis, getting to how I got here. In December of 2014, Kara, and I remember it well because it was the coldest winter since I've been here. Mm-hmm. And I don't normally wear hats, but I began wearing the hat that winter. So I became a senior program officer at what was then USA Funds and what is now Strata Education Network. While there, I worked primarily around an innovation grant portfolio. So supporting student success and career readiness across the country, making grants to higher education institutions and higher ed associations. So I developed a portfolio there that awarded about $17 million in grants over the time that I was there. And that's how I became familiar with Ivy Tech. So I made a grant to Ivy Tech to support our 21st Century Scholars Program. And as you mentioned in the bio, from there, I worked for ETS around the Skills for a New Economy initiative, which focused on helping students master or demonstrate mastery of what we might call 21st century skills or soft skills in the workplace, such as communication skills, intercultural competence, critical thinking, et cetera. So I think all of these experiences, to your question, Kara, have prepared me well for the role of chancellor. And I get to build on these efforts to support students and to work along with faculty and staff in advancing the mission of the college. So I'm able to build on that innovation, the collaboration and on-campus experience that I've had. Most importantly, I would say I've worked in K-12 policy, 2- and 4-year teaching experience, and 4-year college administration. So I certainly understand, and I think this is it's proving to be very important for me in this role, the importance of collaborating and collaboration across various sectors of education, whether it's K-12, 2-year, 4-year, and building pathways to students to and through college.
Absolutely. We cannot do the work we do in a vacuum. We've got to do it collaboratively.
We cannot. Absolutely.
So we know how you got to Indianapolis, but what drew you to Ivy Tech? And then once you understood Ivy Tech a little better, what made you decide to stay in Indianapolis?
First of all, there are several reasons why I was interested in Ivy Tech. First, you well know Dr. Sue Ellspermann, president of the college, and she has what I would describe as a contagious passion for workforce development and for helping Hoosiers of all backgrounds to secure credentials and degrees that lead to high wage and high demand jobs. And what I like to call meaningful life, right? Using education as a pathway to a meaningful life through work and the ability to provide for oneself. So I listened to a podcast that Sue was on where she actually described Ivy Tech Community College as a 10-cylinder engine. And at that time, she said that the college was on 8 cylinders, even though it was a 10-cylinder engine. And she wanted to get to 10 through the award of 50,000 credentials annually over a period of time. I remember that so well. And I remember thinking, wow, that's amazing. Primarily because for me, Kara, I came from a low-income family. So it was part of my own lived experience that education and the ability to connect education and work to, and that became a game changer for me. So it was my pathway out of poverty. And I grew up in a single parent household. My father succumbed to cancer when I was 3 years old, and he was only 29 years old, unfortunately. My mother raised me and my brother alone. So I understand the empowering impact that a degree has, but more importantly, the impact that an education can have once linked with work, if you will, as a pathway to a rewarding and fulfilling life. So it was actually Sue, that podcast, that inspired me to be interested in this job. And the second reason I would say is the mission. I have always believed in community colleges. Community colleges have been, I think, and continue to be the vanguards for access and opportunity for so many. And that opportunity being a credential or a degree or transferred or to work. And we find ourselves, I think, at a critical moment in time where we get to reimagine opportunity for so many through how we support various modalities of instruction moving forward. And finally, I would probably say that it is a great opportunity that the Indianapolis service area provides to build ecosystems of support for students and for community that inspired me to pursue this opportunity. The Indianapolis campus is the most diverse campus, I think, in the state of Indiana in terms of student population, and the third largest, I want to say. Kara, you probably know this better than me, but I think we're the third largest in the state in terms of campus. But we have exposure to major corporations, Lilly, whether we're talking Lilly, Cummins, Roche, or Salesforce, and many other companies that are not so large, like ArcMed and TechPoint and so many others. We have a wonderful opportunity, I think, to take the college to the community and to reimagine how we serve students and how we reach these learners, regardless of modality of instruction and regardless of where they are at any given time. So these are some of the reasons I thought this was a great place to be and at the right time in my career.
Excellent. I love learning that you first got attracted to the college through a podcast.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. I love it. I know that you have been, so we're recording this July 21st. It'll release sometime late July to early September-ish. You have been with the college now officially for a little over a month.
Actually, 2 months, Kara.
2 months now. Okay. Time flies. What are you most excited to begin working on?
There are many things I'm excited about, and I would say that I'm already working on, but I am most excited about what I'm learning about the college, first of all. I came into the job listening, and I think that's so important. So I started, as you know, on May 17th with some transition with the prior chancellor, but I became chancellor on July 1st. So I have had over 2 months now of listening. And I've talked with over 250 internal individuals, I believe, to date. I'm tracking it because it's important to me to get to everybody. Talk with staff, deans, chairs, faculty, students. And I've talked to over 70 external individuals, whether we're talking employers or community-based organizations, or met with the mayors in the service area, et cetera. I'm excited about putting all of that I've heard together with the campus and the community to inform our future together. So I have named, as you probably have heard, a Chancellor's Transition Advisory Council that will basically help me with our next steps with casting this vision, with engaging our communities as we do so. So this committee is representative of faculty and students and community as well. And what I'm excited about are the 3 county service areas that we are now going to be focused on. As you probably well, I know you know well, Kara, that we moved from 9 counties to 3. So focusing primarily now on Marion, Boone, and Hendricks counties. So we will begin developing an operational plan soon that focuses on these 3 counties. Of course, we are guided by the college's overall strategic plan, but this operational plan will be a bit more granular for the campus in terms of including how we will work with each school district, with each community-based organization, employers by sector, students in terms by age, whether they're working learners or they're traditional students straight out of high school. It's our opportunity, I think, to be intentional, to be strategic, and to be impactful. And I've started calling what this is going big, Kara. So if you think of the word BIG, B being for bold. So we have to be bold in how we partner with our internal and external stakeholders. We have to be intentional in serving our communities, inclusive in our approach, making sure that everyone is seen, heard, and valued. And then fourth, I think we have the opportunity to be generating. We have to generate, I think, innovative solutions to the needs of our community and our students. So that's what I'm excited about working on. And we have already started much of this work. Right now, though, I am excited about an initiative that we're launching for the fall 2021, that's focused around enrollment that we're calling Operation Ivy Indy Proud. So this is a comprehensive campus-wide services plan that we will expand outreach efforts to recruit and retain and re-engage students who may have stopped out or dropped out for whatever reason. And it's focused on providing extended hours of operation to reach students. So we're going to be opening from 8 a.m. to 7:30 Monday through Thursday, and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and really providing opportunities for students to come back to complete their degrees or credentials. And I would just say for anyone who's listening to this podcast who may be interested in getting enrolled for the fall, they may go to ivytech.edu/enrollment to find any information on how they may do so. So these are all the things that I'm thinking about and certainly have me excited at the moment about this opportunity, Kara.
That's exceptional. And I've enjoyed watching the Ivy Indy Proud Twitter and some other things get started. So I'd urge people to follow those as well. And I'll make sure I put links to those in the show notes for folks who want to follow.
Thank you very much.
Of course. So I think you've already talked about things you've learned, but are there other things that you've learned as you've been here you'd like to share with folks?
You know, in the short time that I've been here, I've learned a lot. First, I would say that there's a dedicated staff, a dedicated team of faculty and staff at the campus. There are so many ways, I think, that faculty and staff make me, to use the tagline, make me Ivy Indy proud. So when I think of all the reasons I'm proud, you know, I have to point to a few examples. First of all, I would say we have so many cutting edge academic programs, and that certainly is great for a chancellor to be able to serve at an institution where there are strong academic programs. We recently, as you know, Kara, opened a 59,000 square foot automotive technology center in the city of Indianapolis. It's actually in our International Marketplace district that houses classrooms, training labs, faculty offices, etc. So I'm excited about what our dean there, Dean Bardona, is doing in the School of Advanced Manufacturing, Engineering, and Applied Science. So at this center, our students receive training in a variety of areas, including electrical systems, engine performance, transmission, all the things I don't know how to do, but they're trained on all of these things. So what is so innovative about it is that the program offers paid education opportunities with 100% job placement for those who meet industry eligibility requirements. And our graduates of the Toyota T10 program, we're also working with GM, ASEP programs. They can earn between $40,000 to $70,000 per year with the potential to earn even more as they advance in their careers. So these are just some examples of the cutting edge programs, and I can go on and on. Even in our School of IT, I'm excited about the programs we're doing there in IT operations, development, data and security. And I'll point to one most recently, our entrepreneurship program under the leadership of Dr. Rhonda Taylor is doing amazing things with getting entrepreneurs, particularly students of color, to consider their own businesses. I recently participated in a Shark Tank competition there where students competed from startup funding support, or competed for startup funding support, I should say. I thought the program was amazing, and it's really changing lives because these young people are saying, you know, I can do this. I can be an independent business owner. It was very eye-opening for me. I'm also learning a lot from my external partners. And what I can tell you, Kara, at this stage is so many in our community want to do more with the college. So that is why we're going to be working on that operational plan that I talked about that will really lay out the tactics that we're going to do to engage with these various constituents. I'll stop there.
Okay, excellent. Well, we focused on the business stuff for a little while, so I'd love to get to know you a little more personally, and I know our listeners would too. Is there a fun fact you're willing to share about yourself?
A fun fact. Well, you know, I would say I come from a very large family. My mother was one of 13 children.
Oh, wow.
That was quite common in the Mississippi Delta back when my mother was coming along, I suppose. And because the family is so large, Kara, I have 3 cousins whose names are Lorenzo.
Oh, my goodness. Does that get confusing?
You know, fortunately for us, we don't live in the same area.
Okay.
If we did, it probably would be.
Yeah. I
think
that.
one cousin's Chicago, another one's in Milwaukee. So 3 cousins, but I happen to be the oldest. So they still have to listen to me.
That is always a good thing.
Another fun fact I would say is I like to work out, and I'm learning to golf. I'm not that good yet, but I'm still working on it.
Very good. Very good. I have no hope of ever learning how to golf, I don't think, even though I do live next to a golf course. So,
well, it becomes important in this business, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, Lorenzo, it's been a pleasure to get to meet you. I've had the privilege in person as well as through the podcast. I hope others have enjoyed meeting you through the podcast and in person. And I know that if folks are on the Indy campus, they can stop by and say hello to you because I know you're very genuine in wanting to get to know people. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kara.
We appreciate everybody listening to this episode of Our College Your Voices. I want to again thank our guest, Dr. Lorenzo Esters, who's Chancellor at the Indianapolis campus. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at KNMTweets. Our producer is Sarah Ferguson. You can reach us by email at ourcollegeyourvoices@ivytech.edu. Don't forget, if you're an IU Tech faculty or staff member, you can join our Microsoft Teams listener community. I send out instructions on how to do that every Thursday. Our website, where you'll find links to our show notes, is ivytech.edu/podcast. Production assistance for this and every episode provided by Becky Campbell and the Ivy Tech Community College Creative Services team, and our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. Theme music and post-production services provided by Jen Eads at the Brassy Broadcasting Company, and we will talk to you next time on Our College, Your Voices.